Welcome to Zell Radio, where we talk about different topics and decide if we agree or not. I'm Zoe.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Leah.
Today we have found stories from Reddit about other people's experiences with conflict. The first story comes from the user Colin Gollins and begins with, I'm crossing a road in a residential area to go to my house, so there's no traffic lights, and a lady flies around the corner with no indicators. I shout, indicate, and she stops the car and starts screaming at me that I'm on the road and she has the right of way because she's in the car. I've always assumed pedestrians have the right of way over cars. Am I in the wrong?
The lady in the car was definitely in the wrong. All pedestrians have the right of way to walk the crosswalk.
The driver definitely had no right to scream and yell at you over something that was 100% her fault.
I agree. That's just the rules of the road. Our next story starts off with, this was a couple weeks ago, but I still think about it. I, 16 female, had my sweet 16 a couple weeks ago. Nothing crazy, but my parents and all my extended family came over, and we went out to a nice restaurant that my parents had booked. A lot of my family, cousins, and nieces and nephews were there, so it was a lot. After we ate dinner and it was time to blow up my candles, my mom insisted I open some of my presents so I don't have to carry them home. My aunties, uncles, and grandparents gave me my presents. After opening their presents and saying thank you and that, my older sister and her boyfriend gave me their present. Inside the box they gave me was a Will You Be My Maid of Honor card on top of the present. I obviously was confused, and I looked at them with a weird expression on my face. My mom came over to look in the box as well, and she loudly said, "You're getting engaged?" My sister squealed with excitement and told all of us about the proposal and how they're already planning. She said that it was the perfect time to announce their engagement since all of the family was there. When my sister asked if I was going to say yes, I just nodded and excused myself to the bathroom. No, I didn't go to the bathroom. I ended up walking out and went to a nearby park. A couple hours passed by, and my dad pulled over on the curb and told me to get in with him. I expected him to yell at me, but he ended up taking me out for ice cream, and we sat at the lake and just talked. When I got home, I saw my cake on the counter, and my mom got up and started yelling at me about how I wasted money, wasted my family's time, and my sister and her boyfriend came out and told me how I was mean for doing that to them. My sister ended up saying that my birthday wasn't as important as her wedding, and my mother agreed. My dad told my sister and her boyfriend to get out, and we ended up talking to my mom about how they could have checked with me beforehand instead of announcing it. So am I in the wrong?
It was really rude of the sister to announce her engagement on your birthday because, that's your day, not hers. So, yeah, I think the sister's in the wrong, and also the mother for taking the side of the sister. It just shows the favoritism in that family.
I think you and the dad are in the right. Your mom and your sister definitely were being very arrogant about the situation, and they should have never brought up about the engagement on your 16th birthday.
Not to mention, saying that your birthday's not as important as a wedding that hasn't even happened yet is just very selfish.
The next story begins with an account called Lonely Legend 207 and starts off as, so my older sister and I had a fight because she wakes up late and takes a really long time to get ready. By that time, I'm already going to school. Yesterday, she and I came to school late, and I missed the shuttle bus to go to a different school for my first class. Today, she woke up later than yesterday, and I got mad. She said to take the morning bus to school, but the morning bus gets there late as well, and I'm going to miss the shuttle bus again. She can't drive to school because our high school is stupid and only lets us take the shuttle bus when we arrived at the high school. She blames it all on me. Am I in the wrong, or is she?
The sister's definitely in the wrong because she has a responsibility to herself to get up at a decent time, eat breakfast, and then go to school at a decent time too. And it's not fair to you to be late just because of her.
It's one thing if she doesn't have to drive you to school because she's just making herself late, but she has to drive you, and so that's not fair to you as the sibling, and I feel like the parents should definitely step in and do something.
I agree with what Leah said. The parents should definitely be involved in this situation, and it's not your fault that your sister keeps on making you late to school and for the bus. Our last story begins with, am I in the wrong for not letting my brother-in-law eat my dog food? So my sister and her husband are living with me temporarily because of Hurricane Ian. Their home in Fort Myers is in bad shape. So I agreed to let them stay with me and my dogs. I own a nice bungalow and it's just me and my dogs. It's a little crowded, but I can deal. I have a couple of little dogs and I like to make them raw food. It's healthy for them and I like knowing what they are eating. I used cheap ground meat and I mixed in chopped up vegetables, seeds, and organ meat. I also mix in doggy vitamins. I make up big batches whenever I find ground meat at a good price. Then I make patties out of the mix and freeze them. At night, I take out a couple of patties and leave them in the fridge thaw out for the next day's food. When I was out yesterday, my brother-in-law saw the hamburgers in the fridge and decided to grill them up and eat them. When I got home, I went to feed my dogs, but my food was obviously not there. So I asked my sister if she had fed my dogs while I was out. She said that her husband had eaten the burgers in the fridge. I kind of giggled and said, "Oops, I guess I need to thaw them out more." He heard me and said that they tasted off anyways. I told him the reason they tasted off is because they were dog food. He started dry heaving and saying that he was going to puke. He yelled at me for keeping dog food around people food. I yelled back that he is a guest, and while he is welcome to eat anything in the house, perhaps it would be best if he asked before he ate my food. Him and my sister are angry at me that I didn't label my dog food. I am kind of angry that I complained. Yes, I would be a little grossed out too, but it's just funny. He isn't hurt or anything. There's nothing in the dog food that humans can't eat. I would not eat it myself, of course, so am I in the wrong?
So I can see both sides of the story, even though like this is quite a funny story. Obviously, I think both you and the brother-in-law are in the wrong. The brother-in-law should know that you do feed your dogs raw food and that you keep him in the freezer if he's been living with you long enough, but you should definitely label the meat as dog food so it doesn't get eaten.
I agree with Leah. You should have put the label on the dog food.
I want to add that the brother-in-law is a guest in your house, and if he's going to eat anything that he's not 100% sure if he can eat, he should ask you whether or not that's texting you or calling you. So I do feel like he's in the wrong, but obviously you're not blameless either. You should have put a label on your dog food, but you had no way of ever expecting that someone would eat the dog food, so I guess you're not as in the wrong.
So that was all of our stories for today. Hope you enjoyed. Next week, there will be a new podcast posted with different topics. Thanks for listening.